Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, everybody in the digital asset space. I'm going to start off with a disclaimer. If you see any ads on this video stating send a certain amount of crypto and you will receive more back, that is a scam. Do not participate. Okay, this is gigantic, people. This is something that we've all been waiting for quite a long time. I just saw this get announced within the past 20 or 30 minutes and knew that I needed to make a video on this. This is something that we've all seen coming. Been calling this for a long time. Officer of the Comptroller of the Currency. This is today, July 22nd, 2020. Federally chartered banks and thrifts may provide custody services for crypto assets. Office of the Comptroller of the Currency today published a letter clarifying national banks and Federal Savings Association's authority to provide cryptocurrency custody solutions services for customers. National and state banks and thrifts have long provided safekeeping of custody services, including both physical objects and electronic assets. The OCC has specifically recognized the importance of digital assets and the authority for banks to provide safekeeping for such assets since 1998. In the letter published today, the OCC concludes that providing cryptocurrency custody services, including holding unique cryptographic keys associated with cryptocurrency, is a modern form of traditional bank activities related to custody services. Crypto custody services may extend beyond passively holding keys. From safe deposit boxes to virtual vaults, we must ensure banks can meet the financial service needs of their customers today, said Acting Comptroller of the Currency Brian P. Brooks. This opinion clarifies that banks can continue satisfying their customers' needs for safeguarding their most valuable assets, which today, for tens of millions of Americans, includes cryptocurrency. Financial markets increasingly digitized. The need will increase for banks and other service providers to leverage new technology and innovative ways to serve their customers' needs. By doing so, banks can continue to fulfill the financial intermediation function they have historically played in providing payment, lending, and deposit services. Today's opinion applies to national banks and federal savings associations of all sizes and is consistent with a number of states which have already authorized state banks or trust companies to provide similar functions. Crypto custody solutions was, in my opinion, one of the biggest barriers to adoption for digital assets. And we can see now that Brian Brooks, the head of the OCC, who basically is in charge of all the banks in the country, has stated that crypto assets may be custodied by banks. That is friggin' huge, everybody. If you're not aware, Brian Brooks just came over to the OCC, the head of the OCC. He was a former chief, I think it was like the chief legal attorney of Coinbase, which just not too surprising with how everything's rolling out across the board here. All right, now tech like CBDCs central to Senate hearing on China-U.S. competition. So there was a hearing today, July 22nd. The Senate Banking Committee Subcommittee on Economic Policy held a hearing on the role of innovation in the rising whatever that is. I think that's a typo. But this is Christopher Giancarlo here, and the DLT network would operate, this is the Digital Dollar Project, the DLT network would operate on an autonomous permission network and ensure validity and integrity of all transactions. The verification of the transactions would rest on the complete history or lineage of the tokens from original issuance in order to attest tokens are genuine and have not been double spent. So the U.S. continues to talk and talk and talk. All right, Deutsche Telekom's T-Systems joins Chainlink as a node operator. Deutsche Telekom is huge, everybody. Cardano will receive $340 million funding for a cryptocurrency credit card in Europe. I believe this was the second round of funding, so that's more adoption news for ADA, Cardano. Now, today there was a speech. This is from the European Central Bank, and I just wanted to, again, state this because they're talking consistently about a green economy. To enhance structural profitability over the long term, banks need to thoughtfully invest and support digitalization and the transition towards a low carbon economy. The coronavirus pandemic could, in fact, represent an opportunity for the financial sector to adapt to this new environment more swiftly. That's a no-brainer, right? We can see what's going on across the board here. We're not blind. So Google, Twitter, and Facebook face $600 million lawsuit over crypto ad bans. If you weren't around in 2018, Facebook, Google, they all basically stopped allowing firms to advertise crypto. So we'll see how this plays out. I'm not quite sure. Singapore, Monetary Authority of Singapore executive says all that's missing for a central bank digital currency is a central bank decision. And what happens when one central bank decides to go digital and digitize their fiat? What do you think happens? It's going to be a cascade effect, dominoes falling across the board, everybody. This is huge for Hedera Hashgraph. Hedera Hashgraph and micropayments. Now, I saw this. Distributed ledger technology company Hedera Hashgraph has started a collaboration with Australia's debit card system, EFT POS, or point of sale, I'm assuming, on a micropayments proof of concept. The company said in an emailed press release, their goal is to provide an alternative to traditional online paywalls and subscriptions to web users. EFT POS CEO, we'll get into EFT POS right here. So EFT POS testing micropayment in digital ID services. EFT POS is expanding beyond routing debit payments, trialing a new micropayment service using a digital representation of the Australian dollar, which could offer media and entertainment companies a way to find new customers. Now we get into how big EFT POS is here as well. EFT POS is like the national debit card platform of Australia, I believe, and also New Zealand. As of June 2018, there were 961,247 EFT POS terminals in Australia, 3,940 ATMs. Of the terminals, over 60,000 offered cash withdrawals. In 2010, over 183 million transactions worth Australia's currency, 12 billion, were made using Australian EFT POS terminals per month. In 2011, these figures increased to 750,000 terminals, 325,000 businesses, processing over 2 billion transactions with a combined value of approximately $131 billion for the year. So Hedera Hashgraph running a micropayments platform on top of this EFT POS system, in my opinion, is absolutely huge. We see here in New Zealand as well, usage in New Zealand, this EFT POS system is being used for about 60% of all retail transactions. 2009, there were 200 EFT POS transactions per person. You can do the math with the population of New Zealand and per person there. Paymark processes over 900 million transactions, worth over 48 billion New Zealand yearly. More than 75,000 merchants and over 110,000 EFT POS terminals are connected to Paymark. That's huge, everybody. All right, now this is just real quick. This is Sumitomo Mitsui, banking partners with local company for electronic trade finance, and they are testing. They're going into testing with Contour. Contour is huge. Contour is that letter of credit platform through ING and HSBC. Sumitomo Mitsui Banking Corporation announced on the 21st that it will work on digitalization of trade, finance, business, in partnership with Contour of Singapore. If you're not aware, Sumitomo Mitsui is tied into a lot of different things here. This is SBI Securities. We all know SBI and Ripple. MUFG is in here. There's quite a bit. This is this trial that the Japan Exchange Group, it's a working paper for the utilization of blockchain. Now we get into Soramitsu as well. And if you're not aware, this Sumitomo Mitsui basically collaborated, and I forget who they it was either SBI or R3, I believe they collaborated with for this Soramitsu initiative. Soramitsu also is partnered with the National Settlement Depository of Russia, and they are building this thing called D3 Ledger, a decentralized digital depository. If you look in here, this D3 ecosystem, they are directly tied in with Ethereum. They're directly tied in with Ripple network nodes, D3 distributed ledger interface. These institutions here, you've got the Russian regulated financial market, the USA regulated crypto market, Swiss regulated financial market, fiat currency and assets. And I know I'm probably not gonna be able to find this right here, but there was an interesting part of this. Here we go. This talks about this D3 foundation, and it talks about basically everything that happens behind the scenes. And in my opinion, digital assets adoption is going to be, when customers, your everyday person, doesn't know exactly what's being utilized. They just know that it's cheaper, it's faster, and it's more efficient. And they state it right here. You have client 1, client 2, client 3. You've got these institutions. You've got the network nodes, which is running on blockchain. And it says right here, clients do not care about what happens behind this wall, and they don't. They just want it cheaper. They want it quicker. They want more utility. And then just for a little bit of scope, HSBC and ING backed letter of credit blockchain Contour launches in Singapore. There's some big names in here as well. But the big news of the day, as we all know, federally chartered banks and thrifts may provide custody services for crypto assets. I don't think you can get much bigger than that. We will see how this plays out. And if any other news comes up, I'll make another video. All right. Thank you guys. Have a good one.